everyone, welcome back to Velvet Moments. There are memories that don't explode into existence. They don't arrive with headlines, flashing cameras, or dramatic background music. Instead, they unfold gently, like velvet brushing against skin. Soft, intentional, almost fragile. And yet, once they touch your heart, they stay there longer than anything loud ever could. In the universe of BTS, where stadium lights burn brighter than the sun and cheers from millions of ARMY shake entire cities, it's easy to assume that the biggest moments are the ones that matter most. The award speeches, the record-breaking tours, the history-making milestones. But sometimes it's the in-between seconds that linger. The glances that stretch half a heartbeat longer than expected. The distance that quietly disappears. The words spoken so softly they feel like secrets carried by the air. Some moments are made for headlines. Others are meant only for the heart. And this was one of those velvet moments. It lasted 23 seconds. Not a grand stage. Not a dramatic confession under fireworks. Not a perfectly rehearsed speech written to move millions. Just 23 quiet seconds between Jimin and Jungkook. Seconds that somehow felt eternal. The clip was simple. Almost too simple. No dramatic zoom. No exaggerated gestures. Jungkook leaned in slightly, his posture relaxed, his expression calm. The noise around them hummed like static in the background. Staff, members, movement, the ordinary chaos that follows global artists wherever they go. And then he whispered, "I love you." Not loud. Not projected. Not performed. It wasn't said like a line meant for cameras. It didn't feel like something designed to trend. Sounded like something meant for one person only. And the detail that changed everything? Jimin was listening. He wasn't distracted. He wasn't looking elsewhere. He heard it. There was the faintest shift in his expression, a softness in his eyes, a subtle curve of his lips. It wasn't shock. It wasn't playful exaggeration. It was recognition. The kind of recognition that feels familiar. ARMY did what ARMY always does. They replayed it. And again. And again. Slowing the footage down frame by frame. Studying angles. Observing timing. Measuring the milliseconds between the whisper and Jimin's reaction. In an industry where idols are hyper-aware of every lens pointed at them, this felt unguarded. It felt like something that slipped through the cracks of perfection. And that is what made it powerful. Because for a brief moment the polish seemed to fall away. The global superstars faded. What remained were two boys who had grown up together. Trainees who shared dorm rooms, exhaustion, uncertainty, and dreams bigger than the world believed possible. When BTS debuted, they were teenagers navigating an unforgiving industry. They trained side by side. Struggled side by side. Succeeded side by side. Years of shared memories layered quietly between them like pages in a book no one else fully gets to read. So when Jungkook whispered those words, it didn't feel isolated. It felt like history condensed into one breath. Around the same time, another detail caught fans' attention. In separate appearances, not during a coordinated stage concept or promotional styling, Jimin and Jungkook were seen wearing the same necklace. The design wasn't flashy. It wasn't bold or heavily branded. It was understated. Personal. Easy to miss unless you were looking carefully. There was no announcement. No explanation. It simply existed. Just like that whisper. In an entertainment world built on spectacle, subtlety becomes revolutionary. Matching accessories might be coincidence. "I love you" might be friendly affection between members who have known each other for over a decade. Skinship, closeness, softness. These are not unusual in K-pop culture. And yet, when those details overlap within the same emotional frame, they begin to feel larger than coincidence. They become less about proof and more about emotion. For years, narratives have tried to define the bond between Jimin and Jungkook. Some see pure brotherhood, two members who entered adolescence together and matured under the same spotlight. Some call it deep friendship. Others dismiss moments as fan service crafted for engagement. But what made those 23 seconds unforgettable is that they resisted definition. There was no dramatic follow-up. No laughter to deflect it. No exaggerated teasing to neutralize the intimacy. Just a whisper. And a look that seemed to say, "I hear you." The beauty of the moment lies in its restraint. Jungkook didn't perform the sentence. Jimin didn't turn it into a joke. There was no need to amplify it for the crowd. It existed quietly, confidently, as if it had been said many times before when no cameras were present. And maybe that's why ARMY can't move on from it. Because beneath the towering achievements, Grammy nominations, sold-out stadium tours, cultural diplomacy stages, are two human beings who spent their formative years side by side. Who learned what pressure feels like before adulthood. Who leaned on each other when expectations grew heavy. Love in any form doesn't always arrive wrapped in grand gestures. Sometimes it's in the way someone instinctively moves closer. In the way eyes soften at familiar words. In the way a whisper finds exactly the right ears. Were those words romantic? Platonic? Simply affectionate reassurance between lifelong teammates? Only they know. But what the world witnessed was not spectacle. It was intimacy in its most unpolished form. And that is rare. In a world that constantly demands clarity, labels, confirmations, definitions, some connections refuse to be reduced to simple language. What passed between Jimin and Jungkook in that fragile instant didn't need a headline. It didn't need official statements or explanations. It existed exactly as it was. Soft, fleeting, deeply human. Perhaps that is the true magic of velvet moments. They don't shout to be remembered. They settle gently into your chest and stay there. They replay in the quiet hours when everything else fades. The awards, the choreography, the noise of public opinion. A whisper. Look. A shared understanding that doesn't ask the world for permission. For 23 seconds time seemed to slow. The chaos around them blurred into the background. The scale of their fame felt irrelevant. There were no screaming crowds loud enough to overpower that exchange. Just one voice. And someone who was listening. And maybe that's why ARMY still holds on to it so tightly. Because beyond the stages, beyond the brand deals and breaking records, that whisper felt real. It felt like years of shared history compressed into a single breath. It felt like something unplanned. Not performed. Just felt. And when the clip ends, when the screen goes dark, when the world resumes its noise, those 23 seconds linger. Not because they were dramatic. Not because they were confirmed. But because they were sincere. In the end, maybe the question isn't what those words meant. Maybe the reason they echo is simpler than that. He whispered. And he was heard. Purple Heart.